Do I say anything?
Oh my God, we're just being normal.
Oh, jerking around.
Do you want to get your headphones? We'll nail
Crystal takes her shirt off. Stick around. Should we say it at the same time?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Jerkin Around.
A podcast with Teisha and Crystal.
Maybe we were meant to be on video. Wait, okay,
well, I've been wearing skin tight clothes with a padded bra every day.
This weekend, I was like, oh my gosh, she looked drop dead.
Yeah, I've been wearing
I want you to look drop dead.
Skin tight clothes. I want you to look drop dead.
No,
too.
you don't. You're fine with me looking like an idiot as long as you don't. No. I wouldn't wear it, but you can look like an idiot. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's true. It's fun as long as I don't. It's fine. But no, I'm just
telling you. I one day didn't have anything to wear, and I grabbed this shirt, and I thought it was the dumbest, ugliest outfit I've ever worn. That day, 50 people complimented me, and I'm like, oh my God, my radar's off. So that's the problem.
First time you learned that your radar was off.
Yes.
Yeah, because everyone was like, this is so cute. And then when she thought she was dressing cute, no one complimented her. So then she said, oh, maybe something's off.
My vibe is off. So then Sophia, most things she picks out I don't really love, but people compliment me. So I'm like, my radar's off.
And when I get dressed, like 13-year-olds are like, I like your pants, I like your shirt. And I'm all great, I'm right where I'm right, nailing it.
I kind of want to start with Vanderpump.
Yeah, let's do it.
I can't wait to talk about it with you because it piggybacks what we talked about last week. My opinion on it's going to be different. It's going to be controversial.
Like you're not just Team Ariana like everybody else. Like
no, that's what I mean.
She gave the nookie for free.
Side,
she gave the nookie for free, and she was playing house, and then she got screwed. Is that what you're thinking?
No, I wish you would have listened. You got to listen to this podcast.
Listened to like the summaries. So like it was like a TikTok.
I saw those, and it wasn't what because they're trying to. The narrative on the summaries is to make it anti-Tom.
Gotcha.
The podcast is not anti-Tom. I actually totally was relating with Tom and totally like this is what we tell people happens, and it's actually the opposite. So let's just go.
Real quick, and then we'll talk about Tom Scandoval. So I've already said this.
I know, we all know you're worried about the hot car.
It's a legitimate concern.
I understand, but sometimes when Vicky always, every time we flew, she'd be like, my luggage better not get lost. Did you lose my luggage? You better not lose my luggage. Is that on the right plane? Every time her luggage got lost. Every freaking time. I throwing it on there. I don't even put my name on it. I don't give a crap. If it gets lost, whatever. I'll buy new stuff. I never cared. Every time, 2 a.m, we're at the airport. My luggage is lost. I told the guy, and like that, sometimes I think
so. You're like saying it's like self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, and like you don't like when I was a little kid. This is the stupidest story. I remember I was like really tiny. My dad used to call me too little. He hasn't said that in years, but when I was little, and I was just this little thing, like tiny, like Hudson, like tiny. So he always called me too little. And one day I was like, I wish my stomach went like this. I crap you not. My stomach went like that so fast. So then I remember as a kid, I was like, okay, maybe like a genie, you know? I was like, maybe I wish my stomach was like this, like trying to reverse it, the wish, like the genie. And well, now I paid for it to go like this, but it's like, but you do that. You don't notice. Like sometimes like you got to be careful. Yeah. Like you don't like, don't have sex. I was having sex. Like, you know.
I see, but sometimes I feel like
there's a warning and then there's an obsession.
I got it. And I never want to feel like I didn't do something and have regret.
I agree. So I think we did it.
Yeah, no, I've taught him now.
He's all Kiki. My mom taught me how to get out of my seat if I'm ever in a hot car. I think that's great.
Yeah, I taught him how to hit unlock, how to open the door, just because you never know. It's so hot.
But I think we could text Ben a little less now, you know?
I did. He went to the gym yesterday and I texted him, don't forget Fox in the car.
That's what I mean. Like, I think he's got it.
I know. I just never want to have regret. That's like my worst fear.
Yeah, I regretted doing this. I'll never do that again.
Maybe you should.
But I mean it with Vicky. I'm like, I've never worried. Do you know people like that? When they worry about something.
You almost cause it to happen. Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm not saying.
I don't think this is that. But yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a few things we could border. We just got to let it. Give it to God, do it what you can, and let it go. Okay, and moving on. Tom Scandoval. So anyways.
I didn't listen to the whole thing.
Okay, so the Scandoval, which I don't know why I'm invested. I'm invested in it. I think everybody's invested in it. I think it's because it's relatable and it's like crazy. What's weird is that stuff happened in my life like 100 times recently where affairs are like a real thing.
Yeah.
And anyways, so everybody has their opinion. I'm obviously team Ariana because everybody's for someone not having like this girl so close to them in their life. I think that's what's so weird. But listening to Tom, yesterday I listened to the whole Howie Mandel, and I used to like Tom, and I always like the underdog. It's just a thing. But he was talking about their relationship and how they have been living the last couple years. Is it a deflection? 100%. Does it mean what he did make sense? No. But I do think that it's something we talk about all the time. They didn't have sex for like a long time, like long periods of time. And the thing that stuck out to me the most, they don't go to weddings together. They don't go to anything together. He said they were kind of trying to keep face because they're like a brand.
Right.
So they both kind of just did their own thing. She would lay in bed all day. They were both struggling with anxiety. And so her way of coping was to lay in bed like all day, every day. And his way was to start going out more and like working out and doing all these things. And in doing that, he was like trying to find himself because he's depressed at 40. I think they were both depressed because they're not happy with their relationship, but both didn't want out. But he was saying, he talked about when he first, that they weren't intimate at all. They didn't have conversations. They didn't check in. Like, he would come home, they wouldn't even talk. Like, I think they were both just kind of surviving. But he was talking about when he first had, like, talks with Raquel, where they stayed up all night talking.
Right.
And then it was like a magnet that pulled them together and they kissed. But he said as a man, not having someone, like, want you or feel like wanted for that long, he was explaining how he felt as like a man. He's like, not being wanted or not have someone like crave you or like have sex. He's like, yeah, this is inappropriate, but he's like, yeah, I had porn, but that's all I had was me in my room. That's not intimacy. Like, he's like, I felt so rejected and alone as a man, not having someone, want that with me. So it was just interesting. Like, it can go on and on, but I think that's something we've talked about even on our last podcast, is how important it is to be intimate with your husband, even when you don't want to, not saying like, totally against your will. But I think that sex is a parameter of like where you are in your marriage or your relationship. And for us, parameter is like a circle around. Yeah. Parameter.
But I know.
But like, if you're not having that and you're not like connecting, I think as women, we connect emotionally, or like what you said, like having a guy help or like do those things. But when you're nicer and when you are having sex, then all of a sudden they do those things. Right. So if you kind of like grow apart without sex, and men like Dr. Laura Schlesinger, who we both love, she always says if you don't have sex with your man, 100% he's going to cheat. 100%. And if I think that's something so crazy. I think all women should hear that. Not saying it's ever your fault. It's never your fault. Never ever your fault. But I do think sometimes cheating can be a two-way street. And as women, sometimes we have to, and men, we both have to look at ourselves and see what we could do better and what we could work on. Yeah. Constantly. It's a relationship. We put money into our jobs, we put time into our bodies, we put time to grow as a person, but yet we put our marriages on the back burner like they should automate and just work so easily, and I just don't think that's the case.
Yeah. I feel like there was a lot of red flags in their relationship.
Like, Jax said it. Who knew? Yeah. Jax always said it.
But it's,
well, even not wanting kids and wanting kids, I think that's like a huge thing.
The moment you find that out, that you want to get married and have kids and she doesn't, why don't you just break up? Instead, let's buy a house together.
I know.
And then you're stuck in this thing. And then he was like, what I didn't like, the part I heard, he was like complaining about how if he tried to break up with her, she would not do the show, she would not do this. It's like, why are we in that situation where we're like so intertwined we can't break up?
Yeah.
It's
I
like
agree.
the playing house.
Yeah, and that's why we said don't even have the sex, because you connect. Then you lose your mind, then you lose your logic, then now
and if you don't live together, the moment she's not having sex with you, break up.
Who doesn't go to weddings? That's like the best part about having a significant other, is not going to a wedding alone.
It just sounds like they were roommates.
They weren't, and that's what he said. We were roommates. We weren't even like talking. We didn't talk for days.
I think it's the part that's creepy is the ongoing.
Oh, Raquel's a creep.
Raquel's disgusting.
They were saying on Watch What Happens Live is that at the end of the season, you'll see an episode where Ariana is talking to Raquel as like confiding in her, and they're like, it's disgusting that she could look someone in the eyes. I think that's the part that's intriguing to everyone, is she was in their inner circle, and how could they both do this behind their back? It's crazy. And I guarantee he was sleeping with both of them. Like, he for sure had sex with Ariana in that 9 months. I don't think so. The way it sounds, I don't think they were having sex for a long period of time. But it's interesting though, the part that's like so weird that I saw in Watch What Happens Live with Lala, I love Lala, she's just like ridiculous, was that they found them in bed together. Like, I can't believe that someone... Who found? Yeah, Ariana found Tom and Rachel, in bed together, and they just thought it was normal. Like, under the sheets. Like, that's just the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
At her house?
Yes, because Raquel, like, would stay there all the time. Again, there's so many red flags with this whole scenario. At our church, they always talk about not being alone with a member of the opposite sex. And I've seen a lot of scenarios in this scenario. Even as us, as best friends, I don't, like, go places with Ben alone. You don't go, like, we talk on the phone, like, because you help with social media for Kyle. But even...
We're not talking, though, about our feelings.
Even as a foursome, not being dirty, we would never, like, there's still boundaries. And we're all, like, best friends.
There has to be boundaries, because if you're, like how Tom said, he connected with her on that level. If you never put yourself in that position to connect with someone of the opposite sex, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you just have to be...
very mindful.
Of course your marriage or relationship's going to have problems.
Everybody sucks at times.
Right. So if in that moment you're putting yourself in situations where you're connecting with someone, you start thinking, it's better out there.
Yeah.
That's why I don't let you talk to any other friends. I don't want you alone with any other women.
Which is interesting. We talked to our girls about this the other day because, you know, our kids, I'm having some typical middle school drama right now. And we talk in the car after carpool with our girls after cheer. And they talk about how some of their friends get mad when they're with other friends. And I've told them, you know what's great about Teisha and I? We're best friends, but Teisha doesn't get mad if I hang out with other people. No. I mean, when they start getting too close, she'll make comments like, are they your new best friend? Make sure they know I'm the headmaster.
I don't say that.
Yeah, you did.
No,
you totally did.
That's so
you
weird.
Didn't say headmaster. You said I'm your best friend.
This
they better
like
not try to get in.
When
you did. You said that.
When did I say that?
Just edit
Don't
this out.
say the person.
When we went on that for me, you're like, whoa, this is getting a little too much. She better know I'm your best friend. I'm joking though, but I don't feel like I'm not allowed to have other friends.
I don't care if you have other friends.
I don't care if you have other friends.
I know no one's as cool as me.
But I do think that's healthy. Like, it's healthy to have other friends. And I do think some relationships.
Yeah.
And like even in Kyle and I's marriage, he's not a jealous guy. But I would never put myself, we don't really drink without each other. We don't do all those things. I think that's really important.
No, we never drink without each other.
Because I got myself in a situation, this is real and deep, but I had a good friend when I first was teaching, and we were like best friends. He was a guy, I was a girl. I had a boyfriend, he was married. We didn't do anything like that, but it still was unhealthy, our friendship. Like I was going to lunch with him alone,
like an emotion. It crossed an emotional
it did.
boundary.
And every marriage is going to struggle. Every marriage is going to struggle. I could say that from the mountaintops. Every marriage is going to struggle. Every friendship struggles. Every parenting relationship struggles. It drives me nuts. My kids act like idiots. I swear I'm in an idiot thing after I listened to that podcast. I don't decide. I don't want to be their mom anymore. They're not treating me right.
Right.
Like why with our marriages is it like he's not, Dr. Laura went off about that on this new podcast. We're also, what about me? It's such a what about me society. What are you doing for me? And if we take that and turn it around and say like, what are we doing for you? Like we always can have ownership over our choices if we take it on. Like I said, that's my boundary problem is, and Dr. Laura hates the word boundaries. I kind of agree with her, but sometimes I put too much on myself where I don't know how to do it.
You think everything's your fault.
Yeah, but we talked about last week, I had my goal, you didn't have your goal. You actually did the goal before I did the goal. That's kind of typical. But Teisha, we both went on dates with our husbands this week, unintentionally for Teisha, but for me, mine was planned because I talked about trying to make Kyle more of a priority this week.
Great job.
No, I'm not saying it to say great job, you a-hole. I'm saying it because it was intentional.
You reached your goal.
No, I did reach my goal. But it's not the point. The point is these things take effort. I just read this book by Craig Rochelle about habits, and it's so key. Like where you spend your time and energy, you will get the reward. And it was the busiest week ever in a long time this week. Last night, I did not want to go on a date with him, but I had said this on the podcast, and that's why I say those things out loud. And I know it's important to make it intentional. And it's so funny. After we went and had a dinner for an hour together and talked, drove separate, nothing that great, we just had the best connection. And you forget how easy it is to get back on track when you're off track. Mm-hmm. And
it seems like it's going to be more work than it is.
And I'm walking this morning, I'm like, I love him so much. He's the best.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if I would have ever gotten divorced in the low? Mm-hmm. You would miss the high. Like, there's so many lows. There's been many times where I'm like, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
I'm not putting up with this anymore.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I was going through my own thing in my own life, and I was maybe putting that on our marriage, but really I was just unhappy with things in my own life.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. So the date was really good. It was really important, and I did a good job. I hit my goal.
Yeah, I know.
Tell me about your date.
Our date.
You didn't want to go either.
No, I didn't want to get ready.
You never want to go. I feel like I never want to go. I feel like I'd rather sit on the couch.
I just hate the getting ready.
Yeah.
And well, we don't need a sitter anymore, so that's easier. But it had been like a long day or something. I didn't go to something. I was just kind of in a funky mood. Oh, I didn't go to the book club.
Yeah,
the
kids were naughty that day.
The kids were off school. They were driving me nuts.
Yeah, they
were like, you do nothing fun for this. I planned a whole fun thing. I took them to the movie. Then we were going to the fun thing. And then they were being bad. So then I took away the fun thing.
And they said that?
But I took them to the movies.
That's what I mean.
It's $100.
I feel like you're the best planner.
Yeah.
They said you don't plan fun things.
They said this day is stupid. And so then I was raging. So I was like, now we're not going to your friend's house. And so
Good for you.
They were whacked. But then I was mad because I had to miss my fun thing. Visiting with the moms.
Yeah.
So I was just like in a funky mood. And Ben was like, oh yeah, our date tonight. And I was like, you know. And then I was trying to put clothes on to make you happy. I'm like, skin tight clothes.
You looked amazing. You looked so good.
I was putting skin tight clothes on. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Did he like your outfit?
My padded bra. Yeah, he really liked it.
Yeah.
So then I had the padded bra. And then I did feel cute though.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm doing it, you know.
That's what I noticed though about like when you were dressing like a hobo. I didn't see that like confidence come out of you. And I know you.
Yeah.
And you didn't have that like strut. I know your strut.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's about. Like,
I know, but sometimes I just feel like uncomfortable with the strut in like a regular life scenario.
I think that's fine, but a date night for sure.
Date night's fine, yeah. So no, we went to Mora. It was so good. It was great. I reached my goal that I didn't have.
Yeah, good. No, but I just think it's important to do those things and make it a priority.
Yeah. No, he did feel like a priority. And then I was like enjoying him. Sometimes I'm like, oh, he drives me nuts.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They can drive you nuts so easily.
I know.
Kyle drives me nuts too. But
with the listen, he's telling me listen.
Oh,
I'm not one of the kids. So annoying.
Teisha and Ben have this thing when they want to say something to their kids, they say, listen, I'm leaving at 2. Listen. And then they'll throw another
and
listen.
And then I do it now, and I hate it.
You tell me listen. And I'm like, I'm not listen.
When he says listen to me, my kids just must want to just murder us.
Oh, you guys say it. And then he'll throw in like 3 listens during the talk.
Oh, he called me literally, I just saw you 5 minutes ago, and then he's calling me on the phone. Listen, the dog, and I'm just like, oh, shut up. I don't want to listen. Shut up. You saying listen is like nails on a bleeping chalkboard. It's the kids. I feel so bad for them. Oh my God. It's like, shut up. I don't want to listen.
No, but in all fairness, I do think they're distracted. And you're saying,
listen,
like, this is important.
This is important.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to swap it out.
When you say it, I'm listening too. I'm like, listen. Is this a warning?
Says, listen to me. I want to like double bird. I want to just.
You don't say it to Ben. I don't hear you say listen to Ben.
I don't. Honestly. He says it to me.
But you say it to the kids.
And he says it to me.
Do you
listen? I've got clothes. He'll text me a list. I'm like, I'm not your bitch.
Do you do it?
Sometimes I don't. Done with the list.
I know. I'm kind of like, well, I don't send Kyle a list. Kyle's more like, because I'm not saying I'm like Ben. Oh, we got to tell the funniest story.
Oh, the story. So we were on the phone the other night. Yeah. Sidetracked.
So let's tell it now quicker. So Teisha does all my.
I'm her mommy.
Teisha's my mommy, and Kyle's my daddy, and Ben's my bunny in a burrow. It's just getting weird. But Teisha does all my. When we travel together, which most of the time we do, we have kind of created this monster now. I only want to travel with her because she plans everything. But
I just like planning.
She likes planning. She'll take care of me. It's sounding so weird.
Gross.
So she booked all my travel. So from Cheer, we have a Cheer trip coming up, going to Florida for her summit. She does my login, signs up my names. She registers my kids, my family. And I didn't pay. I thought she had paid. But she didn't, and she told me to pay. I forgot. So Linda from the gym told us we have to pay. So I was trying to log in. I couldn't figure it out. So later she said when I get home, she had like 30 things to do. She's like, when I take Ben, Fox, listen, I'll do it for you then. So she does it for me. So she calls me. I'm calling her, and she's like, yeah, I did it. And I said, yeah, I was sitting with Jen, our other like best friend, and I was like, I don't know what to do without Teisha. She thinks it's awkward. I can tell our relationship. You know, like you're my mommy. I'm like, I don't even know my login without Teisha. I can't figure it out. I'm like, can you help me? She goes, no, Ryan does all that stuff. And I'm telling Teisha
she's telling me the story on the phone, like, I'd be lost without you. Jen, I was trying to get Jen's help, but Jen said Ryan does it. And then I was like, yeah, Ryan and I are the same. Because, like, she says that about everyone's husband and Ryan. And it was so funny.
It was like, I was crying.
We laughed in bed for like 20 minutes.
I wasn't in bed with you. I was driving.
I was in bed. Ben and I, we were getting ready to watch The Night Agent.
Yeah, but
So
Ben,
good.
when we're on the phone, Ben chimes in. It's like we're all talking.
He gets left out. When
Yeah,
he's not.
Kyle gets worried. Well, Kyle, he doesn't worry so much. He just wants, but it's getting weird.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it's fine.
Yeah, so the Scandoval, I'm really into it. I want to see the reunion really bad.
Yeah.
But, how, you know,
I just
You
got
do
caught
have
up
to
on
work
this
on your
season.
relationship.
I stopped watching a few seasons ago, like
Yeah,
probably
you're
like
back.
2 or 3 years ago. But then I came back because I was intrigued.
yeah.
Reality TV, it's not doing it for me anymore. It used to
I know.
do it. I don't know why.
I think there's a turn, honestly. I find that I am watching way less Housewives and way more Night Agent. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just like, I love Bravo. I watch a lot, but lately, the reality TV used to have like a message.
Yeah.
Like the Kardashians, this is awful that I'm comparing this, but like, even Sex and the City. At the end of every episode, there was like a message. Grey's Anatomy, there was a message. Like now, like the Housewives, it's just trash, garbage.
I think that's why I stopped watching.
It puts
was
you in
like-
a bad mood.
And I'm like, these people are whack.
They are whacked, and it's
I just
so scripted.
didn't feel like I could relate or like wanted to watch it anymore. It was weird.
Yeah.
But I'm back in Vanderpump.
I'm into Vanderpump too. I still watch a good I'm watching Too Hot to Handle, and it's like so good.
I've never seen it.
No, but why it's good is it's about like these very good-looking people, and the challenge is to not touch. So it's interesting. It's like kind of cool. They're saying that people are having a hard time with relationships because they're not connecting, and so I do think that's true. I
Because
think
they're jumping into bed together.
Yeah, and then you're not building a real connection. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
How was your Easter?
It was good.
What'd you do?
Yours? Bear got baptized.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, it was fun. Oh, it was so cute. The service was, you didn't go to that service, did you?
I went to the sunrise.
It was a good service. And it was, at the end, they shared like 3 like testimonies of 3 different people and it was family style. So the kids were in the main service with us. And at the end, they shared like 3 stories of 3 stories of people that had chosen to get baptized. The message was about, repenting, getting baptized and turning over a new leaf. And so we go walking out of service and Bear was like, I want to get baptized next week. And I was like, oh, buddy, I love that. That's great. He's like, Ken and CJ have gotten baptized, but he hasn't. And so we don't really ever like tell the kids to do it. We just kind of wait till they want to. And so I was like, and this is the first time he's ever mentioned it. So I was like, oh, buddy, I love that. That's great. And I could tell in the service he was like really into the message. And so Ben was like, let's eat here. So we ate, and then the kids wanted to hike the hill to the cross. And we were like, oh, that's so fun. So we go hiking up, and Bear's like, and there's people at the baptistry getting baptized. And so Bear keeps like looking over there. And he's like, do you think I should get baptized today? And I was like, and it sounds bad, but like selfishly, we had already been there an hour, and now we're hiking up to the cross. I was like, next week sounds great. And we went by ourselves. We didn't go with any family, friends. So selfishly, I didn't feel like getting in the water. And I was like, oh yeah, no, next week's great, buddy. And he's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I think next week's great. We can have Papa and Carol come. We can have Kiki, we can have everybody come. And he was like, and I forget the way he worded it, but he said something,
if God tells me...
Yeah, he said, if God's telling me to get baptized today and I don't do it, am I going to be in trouble? And I was like, oh, no. And I was like taken back by it because I was like, he doesn't care when you get baptized, buddy. He's just happy you're getting baptized. But then I thought about it and I was like, but you should listen to that voice because that's God talking to you. And that's such a... Like, I always want my kids to have that voice, and I never want them to ignore that because I think it's like so important. And if
it's hard to learn to listen to that
and
voice.
if he's having that at 10, I want him to learn early on to recognize that and know what that is. And then I was like, no, but you should learn to listen to that voice because that's God telling you something, and that's like really important, and you always want to listen to that. And he was like, okay. And I'm like, but God doesn't care about next week. He's down for next week. God told me next week. No, I'm just kidding. So we hiked the mountain, and we went up there, and then they ran down, and I was kind of behind them because I was waiting with Fox. And so he ran ahead, and by the time I got down back to him, he was like, I want to get baptized today. And I was like, are you sure no one's here? And he's like, nope, I want to get baptized today. And I was like, gosh, dang it. No, I'm just kidding. I was excited.
Yeah.
So he got baptized, we got changed, and it was fun.
Ours is a little crazy, but for me, my high and low of the day went really smooth with both families and all that. Kyle was Gumby, and then he got into the American flag. costume for the kids.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, Kyle has costumes.
He likes to dress up. It's a little different. It's so funny though.
Not in the bedroom. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, yeah, our wigs. And I was like,
wait, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're talking, and she's like, yeah, and our dress up. I'm like, dress up?
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, you guys do Stabler like Teisha?
You said that?
No. But
I don't do Stabler
I'm not
anymore.
into that. I'm into being my own self.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, wild girl, you know?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. But we're talking about Easter.
I'm like too tired to, it's like, oh, we're just doing it. I don't have time to get a wig on or anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Come out like that. But we had Wildlife do the eggs for us.
I know.
It's like
we didn't do that. We should.
Well, I did for the fundraiser, you know, and we usually like are pretty creative with stuff. Sometimes I think I'm not saying this to be inappropriate, but we almost blow our load, but that's not the right thing. But like when your kids are little, and I stayed home when they were little, so I didn't have as much on my plate. So I feel like I nailed those things.
Overdid it, yeah.
Yeah, everything was like really great, and like I really thought out, and like I spent time doing it, and I killed it. But what
now
sucks
I'm like, they're
is
fine.
They don't even remember it.
Yeah.
It's like, I could tell people, don't do it when they're little. Save up and do it now, because they'll remember, because I feel like we did all this already.
Yeah.
But we did the Easter baskets. We try to get them something like useful.
Yeah.
They don't have clothes, and we try not to buy them clothes unless it's like a reason. So we got them clothes, you know, and I had it all laid out.
Well,
I used to wrap it in
doing that
cellophane.
candy crap.
I don't buy candy. I don't really care.
The candy's gross. They're getting a stomach ache.
Yeah.
They're getting cancer. You know.
There's that luggage.
The sugar. Get it out of there.
The luggage. But so later, you know, go through the day. It's great. I don't usually get on my phone. And now that we gave Maddie a phone, it drives what I wasn't prepared for. If I could do a PSA, is that what that is? Like a public warning?
Yeah.
When you give your kids a phone, and we gave it to Maddie this year, 7th grade, middle of the year, I feel like I waited a pretty good amount.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know, I wasn't worried because she's busy. I wasn't worried about her being on it too much because they have iPads, it's the same. Like, I already knew how much she'd be on it. What I didn't realize is that the phone goes with them everywhere. And they always have Wi-Fi. So like when she had her iTouch, when we were in the car, she didn't have Wi-Fi.
Right.
Because we don't have Wi-Fi in the car. So I was ready for like some of it, but I wasn't ready for how much she's on it in the car. That drives me absolutely crazy. So I try to do like a no phone rule in the car.
Yeah, I feel like she does pretty good because when we drive to cheer, she's not on her phone.
I just wasn't ready for the in-betweens. Like we went to the ortho yesterday. We sat down, she's on her phone. I'm like, no, we're going to talk. We're going to be, and was it you that told me that kids have driving like PTSD? Because when they go to drive, this is our society right now. This is real life. When they go to drive, they're so, and this is probably true if you really think about it, because I've been watching Maddie. They look down at their phone so much when they're in the car growing up that when they go to drive, they're scared because they've never seen all this going on around them.
Oh, really?
Yes. And they're like having these like jumpy.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to seeing so much while they drive.
Yeah.
They don't see buildings and cars and this and that. I'm like, that's crazy. And think about it, like, an airplane's not scary because you know, like it's like a thing you've done and it's not scary. But if I were to be in a parachute, that would be scary because it's like something you don't do a lot. Fly through the air with a parachute. This analogy's gone south.
You've lost me at the analogy. Like, there's so many things scary about being in a parachute.
Like, I think about it sometimes, like, why aren't I more scared in a plane? Like,
oh, I'm deathly afraid the whole time.
Well, I know that, but normal people, like, if you think about. I miss talking to Dan. I gotta look at Dan.
I know.
Because I gotta have my story time. We tell stories funnier with someone in the room.
Yeah, it is funnier with
you. Gotta be a part of it, Dana. I feel weird looking at her.
I know. It is.
Marjo's off looking at you.
Yeah, I know. It is
because we're funny.
And I feel like
stories.
don't look at it.
Yeah, I'm sick of looking in your eyes. It makes me tingle.
Oh my god.
See, it's better with Dana. Dana, you're in.
Dana's
so
laughing.
Dana helps us, and she's in here.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you're normal, but like an average person that's not scared to fly, like think about it. It could be like an attraction. Like you pay $50 and we'll put you in this machine and you'll go woo, like you'll take off. It would be scary. Like if it was presented like that. Like we'll put you in an airplane. If it wasn't something we did all the time.
Yeah.
You would be like, and I'm gonna go up like that, and it would be like an attraction. I'm serious. It's all in the way your mind's presented.
Yeah.
But like, if it was like, oh, you're going to see Aunt Shirley and Oklahoma, well, we'll put you in a parachute and they'll see you on Tuesday, and it wouldn't be a scary thing, and you'd be like, oh, parachute, you know. Do you know what I mean? Did it? No,
not even close. I'm always scared in the plane, always scared in the parachute.
Well, maybe
never okay with it. No, but I've read a lot of things about the phones, about like how healthy it is to be bored.
Yes.
And it develops your imagination, your creativity. It develops even just learning to sit with ourselves and our own thoughts. Yeah. Our kids are being raised with constant stimulation, and you're never bored, so you never
even
learn.
Kids at the restaurant. I'm glad we didn't have this when our kids were little, and I sound old, but the iPads weren't a thing until maybe like 7.
None of my kids had
So
iPads.
when they were little, and like Fox is really good about this, because I'm with her and Fox all the time. He doesn't usually go on a phone. If he's with us and he works with us, he stays on a phone.
Yeah, I have to put him on it sometimes if we're working. He has to sit there
he comes to our work meeting and he goes on the phone. The only thing that's weird is like Teisha doesn't get easily distracted by things. She's like very like one
tunnel vision.
Yes. So he'll be watching a show and it's like we're in the movie theater and I'm trying to have a meeting and I'm like, I'm not trying to be rude.
Turn that down, honey. And I'm all sitting there.
She's all.
I think maybe I have a hearing problem.
No, I think you're just trying to. That's why Ben has to tell you to listen.
Yeah, listen.
Because if you're on the phone, you don't hear a word.
I don't.
Like she's so tunnel vision. We'll be in the car, and her seatbelt isn't plugged.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk to her, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't even hear you. Like,
yeah.
Buckle your seatbelt. She's like, oh, I didn't even hear it. I'm like, I don't know how you don't hear it.
I'm so like. I only see one thing.
So that's the only negative is when she does put Fox on it, it's like I'm in it too. So I don't even want to talk. I'm watching the Mickey because it's like, oh, hiya, pal. But anyways, you're really good about that. But what's sad is like being bored is a thing. I'm like that though. When I was at the orthodontist yesterday, I pulled out my phone with Maddie and I thought this is so stupid. Yeah. This is 5 minutes together. But that's why you're going to make fun of me. But that's why I like to go on walks or like go on runs, even though it's barely a run. Because that's the only time I can pray and be like not stimulated and just like hear God and like let my mind clear. And I find when I don't make that time, I don't have a time in the day where I get to just think.
Well, I even find myself when I'm praying, I start feeling like almost like not an anxious feeling, but like a feeling like I need to check something.
Yes.
And I left my phone in the car and I went in somewhere and then it ended up it was when I took Nash to the vet. And I left my phone in the car on the charger. We got in there. I was in the room with them. I realized I
left your phone in the car.
And it was like a quiet room and just the dog and me. And the vet was taking forever. I mean, probably took 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I sat in there by myself without my phone. And it was like
awful. You were so anxious.
I was so anxious. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta get to my phone. And it's so stupid because I'm like,
I know.
Anyone that's calling me, it's gonna be fine in 40 minutes. But I think we're just so wired to constantly have that stimulation.
It is.
And it's so unhealthy for our kids because at least we're developed. So like my brain knows how to be bored.
But does it still?
Yeah, but I mean, like we're developed. It's so crucial for someone who's never gonna develop that.
As you're saying developed, I just keep thinking of like, are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. When she's like, we must increase our bust. Did you ever watch that?
Never once saw that. Don't even know what
that movie's coming out.
Really?
Yeah, I did it when I was little. You like move your boobs and
your stomach. I wish I had a big stomach.
I thought, well, that worked, so let's do this. And now look at them. You know. No, that movie's good. But anyways, develop just made me picture boobs.
Yeah.
And like developing your boobs.
Yeah. One time I bought this thing. Do you remember like 17 magazine? And then it was an ad in the back of it, or maybe it was like Teen Bop. Remember those magazines?
Yeah.
Well, I had gotten one of those magazines, and in the back there was an ad for this this book that was gonna help you get big boobs.
Did you buy it?
Yeah, and I like I had to send off for it. I like cut out the thing. I cut out the ad. I had to like write it, and I sent money in an envelope to this thing, and then they like sent me a book, and I was like every day checking the mail, like, is the book gonna come?
What did the book do?
It was stupid. It was like telling you to rub your boobs and that they'll get bigger. Yeah.
That's weird. I wonder if it works.
I think if you rub them, they get bigger. But it was this whole thing, and I was like, that's it. It was like they advertise it as like some huge secret, and I was like every day. But I really showed them.
Yeah. I was going back. We jumped around, but going back to Easter.
Yeah.
You know what? Anyways, at the end of the day, forgot what we're talking about. The phone. The kids getting the phone. Be prepared. It's a whole thing to take them off of it. But
you're saying you don't do crazy things anymore.
Yeah, I don't do crazy things. But so we did the Easter egg hunt with Wildlife. My kids were they weren't into the Easter egg hunt. It was
they're old though.
I know.
Like,
let me get there.
I'm with them.
Yeah, well, later. So I felt kind of weird about it. I felt like,
I'm 13 and I don't like Easter egg hunts.
Should I have done something different? Should I this is what was annoying.
Oh, you were on social media.
We go to Bonnie's house, my mother-in-law, who's wonderful. She does the cutest things for kids. They had an Easter egg hunt with Bonnie. They were running, grabbing the eggs. I'm like, well, because I thought, okay, maybe they're over it. No, they're not over it. Running. Oh, look what I got. I got you that. You didn't care. We go to Allie's house. Allie's isn't fair. My brother and sister.
There's probably $100 bills in it.
There is!
Oh, I want to go. I'm excited.
Every kid gets a golden egg with a $100 bill.
Oh.
That's amazing.
So I thought they're just going to look for that golden egg. Because Allie does probably 1,000 eggs.
Are you joking?
No, and we have to hide, do them, and it's like hiding them. I just take the big basket and just pour it out.
Oh, yeah.
Like all over the gravel. And I thought, these kids are all old. This is way too many eggs. We're going to have to go clean up all these eggs. This is not going to go.
They did them all.
They ran around. The kids are 20. Some of them are 20. They had baskets. Maddie brought in 3 big baskets of eggs. Not just the golden egg. I'm like, so it's not me. It's that maybe I'm not putting the right things in the eggs.
Yeah.
Allie puts like squishies in them.
Yeah, like cool stuff.
I'm not into eggs. Yeah. So later that night, I did the family, no, maybe it was later that night, everybody's doing the Easter post. I'm going to bed. It's like, really, when you say it out loud, it's the worst thing you should do right before bed is look at what everyone else did that day.
Yeah.
So I found this friend of mine. Friend is a loose term. Someone I know that we're friends on Facebook that I've probably seen in my life 10 times.
Yeah.
And her kids were in high school, and they're doing these eggs, and every egg has like a challenge, and there's these like, the kids were like high-fiving each other and the mom, and it was like they're playing Rochambeau, and I'm like, see, I didn't do the eggs right. This lady has these challenges, like this is, my biggest fear I think is that my kids, I want them to always still want to hang out with me when they're old, but there's that fine line on, like, for me right now, this battle is like, we're not their friend. And I think like that's something that's happening is like parents are friends with their kids. So then I like measure it next to it because I'm like, my kids, don't do this or that. But I forget, like, we're not supposed to be friends right now. We're supposed to be friends later.
Right.
But I worry, like, will they want to still hang out with me? I don't want them to move away. So anyways, that was my Easter.
I think they're still going to want to hang out with you regardless of the eggs. I do. I really have. I feel good about that. I feel confident that I could say that.
You don't do that much, but I do.
I don't do that a ton.
I was like, oh, maybe it's not as fun as the other person.
No, I do think social media, though, it does, even the baptism, I'm thinking, I gotta make it a whole thing.
I was actually gonna say that.
Yeah.
And how cool that it was about the right thing, not the whole thing.
Well, that's the thing. As I was thinking.
That's a good quote.
When he
the
was
right
like,
thing, not the whole thing.
Right.
Trademark it.
When he wants to do it, I was thinking, okay, is my motivation to tell him to wait for me?
No, I agree.
Or
I
for
think
him?
you nailed it.
Because then we gotta have all the people there. They're bringing gifts. Like, there was none of that. There was no gift.
But it was so special.
And it was like the true reason we should be doing things,
Exactly.
not for social media. I haven't even posted about it yet. Like, I posted on my story, but I haven't done like we're so proud of you, Bear.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's so stupid that we do that.
I think social media has made everybody just I feel like they need to compete. And if you're not doing what other people are doing, you're not a good mom. And it's so stupid.
It is so stupid. We were unstaging a house yesterday. I want to go 2 places, but I think I want to go to the other place. I want to go to, because Dana's here, and I know where she's not supposed to be, but I like telling Dana stories.
Yeah.
And I think our listeners, we've been saying that to each other. There's no listeners. We call Dana our listeners. Because we sound stupid, but we're like, our listeners want to know. Dana wants to know. So that's why we have to have Dana, because what if no one ever listens and all we have is Dana?
Dana will listen.
Dana will listen. Well, she
and
listens
Mike told me he listened.
Yeah.
And he thought it was funny. So that was encouraging.
But Teisha and I have a lot of funny stories. I got to tell you, too. I'm going to focus on one right now. I kind of want to tell the other, but
just pick one.
So
it's like for
Maddie
an hour,
is a cheerleader at school.
Yeah.
And yesterday, her and Casey get in the car. That's one of my favorite things is when my kids get in the car with someone else, I kind of learn more about them because they'll say things in front, like talking to their friend.
Yeah.
Than they will. If we're in the car, sometimes it's quiet. Again, Maddie tries to go on her phone.
Right.
But when I get her and Casey, so I'm like, Jen, I'll pick them up.
Yeah.
Because then I hear their banter and I'm like, ooh, that happened. Ooh,
yeah,
that
you
happened.
like this guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they were telling me about practice. Casey is a very good gymnast. Cheerleader. She's ridiculous. And Maddie's good, but Casey's like ridiculous. That sounds awful, but Casey's skill level is just a lot higher. So their last home basketball game is tonight, and they always are like fixing their routine at school. And so Casey gets to do a round off back handspring back tuck.
Yeah.
You heard about it?
They talked about it last
Maddie's
night.
so bugged about it.
Oh, she is?
Oh, because she's not doing her tuck. And she's worried the boys are going to be like, why aren't you doing your tuck? Like,
I asked her, I go, are you doing your tuck? And she goes, no, I'm basing.
She is basing. So listen to what happened.
She didn't tell me she was mad, though. How funny.
Oh, she's so mad about it because, you know, she's like, the boys, they're going to be like, Maddie, you suck. Why aren't you doing that? I'm like, why aren't you doing that? And she's like, well, I'm basing. So then they're telling me that Maddie did her tuck. She doesn't have a standing tuck. But this is what I think happened. She has to get to her spot. So I think she's like, I'll just throw a quick tuck and then I'll base. Because I'm like, why does a standing tuck go with the rampant handspring tuck? So anyways.
Like, she just wants to show
So I told them the back handspring story, and I want you to tell it. I told them the back handspring story a few weeks ago about how Teisha tried out, and I want her to tell it. But Maddie said, yeah. So Sienna said, do you have a standing tuck? Maddie said, yeah. She doesn't have one. So she did it.
She's close, though.
She's on her face.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, I just pretended maybe I didn't have it and did it again 4 times. I never nailed it. I go, Maddie, you don't have your tuck yet. She goes, yeah, but you said Teisha tried, so I tried too. So tell the story. So Teisha and I tried out in high school together, and I had some gymnastics background. Teisha had not. And
no, nothing. I've never been in anything growing up.
Vicky, who is like our coach, that's like a coach like from the TV. Like, she changed our life. She's Kyle's aunt. It's tricky, but she was walking away from cheer, so she wasn't going to coach anymore. So no one like came out for tryouts. Not saying that
that's why I made it.
Yeah, kind of. But kind of. It was a different year. So it was cool because you didn't have as much skill.
All the idiots are allowed on this year, yeah.
Kinda, no. But it was cool because it was different. We didn't have a lot of talent that year. And we won nationals.
Yeah.
But it's the point that you don't have to have talent. You never did gymnastics.
No.
I did gymnastics for years.
No. But I heard when I was going to try out that you had to have a back handspring.
Yeah.
Wait,
no, this was the second year.
No, this is the first year.
It was the first year.
It was the first year.
Okay. Yeah, you did have to have a back handspring.
A few weeks before trying out, you go to the clinic and you learn the dance for tryouts.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So I had never been in anything, and my mom was not like helpful really with getting me in. Like right now, if Kennedy came to me and said, "Hey, I want to try for something," I'd have her in 50 privates. I'm like, "Let's go, we're doing this."
Yeah.
That's not what was going on in my life at that time.
How old were you?
I was 14.
She looked about 7.
I looked about 7. I was a freshman in high school. I wish we had the old ID picture.
Oh, we gotta find it. We can post it.
And so
to Dana, our followers.
So I got an old.
Yeah,
I got an old mattress,
cushion,
twin mattress.
Yeah,
no, an old twin mattress, and I put it in my backyard. Which most people are wondering, why do you have a twin mattress in your backyard? And I was like, well, my mom was like,
she didn't care.
No, well. We had a lot of things laying around the house. It was like a little bit like a hoarder. So
well, she did. She did. Yard selling.
Yard selling. I was all meth. Oh my god. That's so horrible.
It's the truth. I do want us to be really like ourselves on this.
Yeah. I'm not laughing about that because I thought that's where you were going, but we were going with the yard sale.
I would never say I know. She did meth and yard selling. Yeah, both of those things.
Yeah, but a lot of people that do that specific drug, they collect.
Yard sale? Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Like a lot of meth houses have like a lot of crap everywhere. Yeah. It's just a thing. I don't know why.
Yeah. So the mattress.
So I had a mattress in the backyard, and it was
like Kyle would freak out. If there was a mattress.
Ben would be like, what's going on? And there would never be a random mattress in our backyard.
No. Oh, there was one there.
There was
you didn't
one
have to
there.
take one off the bed.
No. There was a mattress, and I dragged it. It was like on the side of the house.
What's on that mattress?
Hey, so then I'm just back there throwing back handsprings because.
Oh, that's so cute.
I know, because I was like, I'm going to get my back handspring.
You can't throw it without a spot.
No, but I did. And I could get over. I was on my head. It wasn't safe, but I could get physically backwards. So I was like, okay, and I just did that for weeks. So when the time, are you getting sad?
Yeah, that's just, it's like so determined though. Good for you.
I was determined. I am a determined person. When
I love that. Good for you.
Thanks.
Make use of the mattress in the backyard.
Yeah, so tryout day comes.
Yeah.
Tryout day comes, and
it's a line item. Back handspring. It's mandatory.
And so after you do your dance and your jumps and your
Was I in there? I think I was next to you.
I don't know who was in there, but
someone was next to her because there's 3 of us.
And so I knew in my heart I didn't have it, but there was a mat, and this isn't a soft mattress in the backyard. This is like a thin gymnastics mat on a cafeteria floor. So
now they have the way cooler mat than what they had.
Yeah,
it's the one fold out 3 panel mat.
I feel like I was with someone good because
You
they
were.
all. I feel like it was Jana and Sarah Paul. Like
Yes.
it was like good
or
people.
Dawn. It was like really good people. So everyone's doing like full.
So everyone goes and does their tumbling, and so they're like, "Okay, number 5, do you have yours?" And I was like, "Yes, I have a back handspring."
And the girls next to her are like, no, she doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, because we're all together.
But I'm like, oh yeah, I acted so confident. I was like, yeah, I have it. And I thought in my mind.
If you believed.
I was like, I'm just going to do it. And so I went there and I was like, you know.
Set, because you have to like clap before.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I set up and I'm like, you know, and I'm like 5, 6, 7, 8. And I like, and I threw it. But like, I don't think you understand, like my feet didn't leave the floor, but I went backwards. So it kind of became like an inverted back bend with a,
You're like
I wish I could get on the floor and show it. My legs were still on the ground, but I was bent backwards. And
can you show it?
No, God.
Oh.
No. So
Well,
I got
take
up.
a picture.
So I got up and I was like, what the? I'm looking at the mat,
Like feeling it, like it was a freak thing.
like a freak thing.
You must have slipped.
Like, I have this. What's wrong with this mat? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like,
I don't know what happened.
I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I mean, Academy Award winning.
Yeah,
acting.
and the people next to her are like, no more.
And so I was like, can I do it again? And she's like, the like judges and coach, she's like, are you sure? I was like, yes, I have this. I don't know what happened. And so I'm like, that was weird. So I'm like 5, 6, 7, and I do it again, and it's the same thing. And so I'm like. So I get up.
No, it's like on her neck, upside down.
Like
oh, you know,
like they're calling the paramedics.
Yeah.
And so I get up and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, what is going on? You know, I'm like acting so like, what is going on?
Yeah, like she's rolling her ankle.
So I'm like, I'm sorry, I need to try one more time. They're like, no, you're good. So I do feel like, though, they felt so bad for me.
They did. You made the team.
They put me on the team.
Yeah.
And they were like, this girl's not scared of shit. She didn't kill herself to make this team. Put her on, you know? But I think, and I didn't have a back handspring that whole year. And I sat and I watched, and we talk about this all the time with our kids. I sat, you had to have a back handspring to be in the competition routine. The routine we do at everything, the thing we do at practice every day. And I literally sat there my first year on cheer. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it taught me, I worked my butt off to get my back handspring, and the next year I had it, and I was in the routine. But the sitting there taught me that how bad do you want it? And I think in life it's like you don't ever have to fight for something that hard. It's just like, oh, I don't have it, I'm going to give up, or I'm not the best. And nowadays there's so many good kids because kids are put in club sports at like 4 years old.
Yeah.
So when you're not immediately good at something like someone else, you almost think like, oh, count me out. And it's such a good reminder, like, no, you can peak in high school, you know?
And it's sad. I was just thinking that. I think a lot of sports is the reason people go from nothing to something. Like, sports was the thing that saved kids that didn't have a family or that didn't have the upbringing or didn't have the money.
Yeah.
And now it's changing because of club sports.
Right.
Everybody is so... Even Broxton, he's in 4th grade and he didn't play baseball for 2 years. And it was like, you're so behind. And it was like, he's in 4th grade.
Well, nowadays kids are moving high schools to be where they're going to play.
They're paying for special coaching. They're paying.
Right.
So the kids that really need sports, they don't even get a shot.
Right. Or like the parents are, oh, my kid's not playing here. I'm going to move him to this school down the street so they can be the star.
Yeah.
But like you're forgetting not being the star is where the lessons are. And that's where the grit is built. And the life lessons that you really want from sports. Yeah, we want our kids to be good, but I want my kids to have the life lessons that come from sports. The never give up, the work ethic, the pushing past the pain barrier of uncomfortable. If you are only the star, you're never going to get that. And if Deer Valley was such a good team, I never should have tried out for that team. I sucked. Like nowadays, my parents would have moved me. I mean, they wouldn't have because they didn't care. But
parents would.
Parents would have moved me to a different high school,
a lower level team
where
so
I
you
could
get
make
more
the
time,
team, and I could be on it. But that wouldn't have made me better. I only got better because I was like, I want to hang with the best. I don't want to be the star of the losers.
Yeah, no one wants to be the star of the losers.
No. So I just think, So, that's a little tangent, but yeah.
I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
What would you say to parents that maybe feel,
The pressure?
The pressure or discouraged, like, oh, my kid didn't start at 4, what do
I would say, because I have that with my oldest, he wasn't like a super sports guy in the beginning.
Tell him about the DJ.
He went from a DJ to a CJ. No, his name's CJ. No,
they had an intervention. And she said, you're not a DJ, you're a CJ. Because he wanted to be a DJ.
Yeah, but it wasn't like in a positive way.
It was like he just wanted to sit home and be a DJ.
And I was like, this isn't, and he wasn't showing, there wasn't anything
there
healthy
wasn't
going
drive.
on.
Even to be a DJ, like, start mixing more.
Well,
take these home.
I don't know if I feel like a lot of people know, but we adopted my oldest. He was my nephew, and then we adopted him. And so I feel like with him, I always was extra careful about wanting to
have him feel included.
I wanted him to feel like he could be him, and I was making sure he was being who he was, and I was not making him be who
you want him to be.
Yeah, it was like a delicate balance, and I overthought it. Whereas my other kids, I'm like, yeah, I don't care what you want. You're going to be whatever the heck I get you to be.
Well, and you can figure that out later.
But
it's not time yet. They're not old enough maybe to decide everything on their own.
Kids shouldn't decide anything.
Yeah.
That's why God gave us parents.
Yes.
Kids.
I don't think it's that you care as he gets older what he wants to do. I just think it was too young for him to lead, but you didn't want to push.
Because kids are naturally going to want to get out of stuff.
Yeah, I still want to get out of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Kids, like, no. So, anyways, I was always like, and you know, his mom was not, she was more artistic, so he was showing like kind of signs of like of being more that way. So I was like, oh, I'm getting him in music lessons, I'm getting him in this, he's doing piano, he's doing guitar, he's doing this. Well, then he started like being friends with people that I felt like they were always online. I felt like it was just kind of unhealthy. He was like obsessed with YouTube and like living through someone else, and I just had this epiphany with the help of my very best friend here.
Again, maybe she didn't ask for my opinion that day.
She was telling
and I sure gave it.
No, but it was good. But I was like very frustrated because I felt
love
like
him though, like my own. So she
he
knows
wasn't making the best choices. He got in trouble at school for his grades started. It was just not a healthy.
There was something going on.
I'm not saying you have to be in sports to be a healthy kid.
There was
but
an intervention.
A boy especially, you need to do something active, even if it's going to the gym. Like, it's important for your development and well-being to be active.
Yeah.
And I stand by that.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was just going in a direction where I was like, this isn't healthy, and staying at home and not doing sports 20 years ago versus now is really different. Like, I was watching like Power Rangers. Like, nowadays it's like the kids are looking at porn, they're looking at weird anime porn, they're looking at really.
This ad came on my Instagram. It was the creepiest anime sexual thing.
It's all, that's like a whole thing nowadays.
It was so gross.
I was just like, I didn't feel like the friends that he was attracting because he wasn't on a team, I felt like they weren't doing anything positive. They were sitting up all night on their computers. There was free reign. So I was like,
and he was very withdrawn.
Yes.
When we would all be around, he was very withdrawn, very different. Like it was a different thing. This is so important because if our listeners, besides Dana, if we have any, they might be struggling with this because parenting nowadays is, I don't know if it was easy back then. I think it's hard. It's the hardest thing I do.
It's awful.
And when your kid is withdrawn and into that, you do want to support it, but I think what you didn't know is CJ wasn't happy.
No, not even close.
He wasn't feeling good about himself, and you could see that more than you could see the other things. He was like a shell of who he is now. He was his confidence was very like
no confidence.
He wouldn't talk in groups.
He was making up like fake YouTube accounts to impersonate other people. It was just super weird. And so my husband and I, Ben, we were just like, okay, this is whacked. And I talked to Crystal a lot. There was a lot of tears, a lot of like, I felt like a failure parent. And like, so I just was like, we're flipping the script.
And he was out of private school, very good private school.
A Christian private school. And
very good.
I was like, no, we're going back to public school,
And you were worried. Because this grade is the worst grade, they say. The grade that he was in, 7th grade.
7th.
The kids were bad. They said it's the worst class in the whole school. And Teisha was like, I'm going to pull him from Christian-based. I think that's so important because I think that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
You're thinking he's at this Christian school with all Christian families.
Because I loved how the school was teaching biblical truth, which I think is something lacking in society. So I want them to learn that, not just from their parents.
I think that's a real struggle, though. I think I would have struggled with that. But I didn't have him at this Christian school.
Yeah. I didn't feel like it was positive, though. Like, for other people, it totally could be. For him,
and I was like, God's telling you. Because something kept happening. I think when God's trying to tell you something, that same thing keeps happening.
Issue after issue at school. It was like super weird.
Dumb issues, but they were weird.
It was just weird.
And I was like, you need to move him. God is saying to move him.
And then all of a sudden he's getting in trouble, but it's for like weird things. It was just really weird. So anyway, so
they were lying.
We just
Kids lied about
basically,
him.
no.
They did too.
Basically, we just
I'm like his biggest fan.
pulled him out and put him in tackle football.
You're not a DJ, you're a CJ.
Yeah, I told him because he wanted to be a DJ.
Well,
I was like, Dad, no, you're not. You're a CJ.
No, and I think this is a valid...
If he wants to grow up and be a DJ, he can be a DJ.
No, but you said parenting sometimes is hard because he's adopted, which she doesn't love him any different. But sometimes there's that worry of like, you said that, I think that's valid. Even my middle daughter, I don't have always like a read on her. Like Maddie and I are very similar, so I like know what to like. I know Maddie. I know what Maddie will like. I know what she won't like. Hudson isn't as easy for me to read. So sometimes when I make decisions, I don't know. I can't read her.
Right.
So I don't think it's necessarily even that he's adopted. I think his read, it's hard to read what like you want, what he wants. And I think at that moment you said no more.
I think the difference with him being adopted is the part I struggle with is when I parent my other kids, I don't ever question if they know that I love them. With him, because he's adopted, I worry every time I do something disciplinary or that he doesn't like, that he's not gonna know that I love him unconditionally the same. And it's an immense amount of pressure that has like, I don't wanna get emotional.
Oh, I'm getting emotional.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But it's embarrassing. I hate crying.
No, it's a real thing.
It has kept me up night after night after night because I always want him to know that I love him, and I know my other kids know that I love them so much, and I sometimes worry if he knows that I love him the same and so much. And so I'm easier on him. I'm a really tough mom. I never care if my kids are happy. Like Kevin Lehman says, unhappy kids are healthy kids.
I agree.
I never care if my other kids are happy. I care if they're healthy and we're doing the thing that's best for them. But with him, I worry about his happiness. And it's like, I think it's made me not as good of a parent because it clouds my judgment, and I question my abilities to parent him, and it's just... It's hard. So hard. It's so incredibly hard. But it's so, like, I think it is like a blessing that God has given me him because it's taught me so much. And it teaches you, like, I think loving your kids is like how God loves us. It's so, like, it's just a powerful love that should be so unconditional. And like with him, I just constantly question that.
But discipline is love, and that's something that we're losing in society too. Because I am very disciplined as like a coach. Yeah. I am a very disciplined coach.
Discipline is more loving than giving them whatever they want.
Yes, and in parenting, I worry. You know what's funny is when you're saying that, I worry about that even with my biological kids, that they know I love them unconditionally, and that they know that they're perfect in his eyes. And I worry.
Step parenting can relate a lot to
Yes.
Yeah.
And step parenting, and they even say we make our worst parenting decisions out of guilt. And I feel that the busier I get, the more we say that. You said that the other day. My kids are getting away with stuff because I'm busy, and I'm like not paying attention as much, and I'm saying nah, and then all of a sudden you said I gotta lock it down.
Yeah.
Because when you're distracted,
I've been busy, so they're punching each other, and I'm not saying anything because I'm like trying to do an email, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what the hell is going on around here?
And they always said that you make your worst parenting decisions out of guilt. Not that
no, I did though.
You did, and then you said, you know what, you're a Belanger, and I'm going to raise you like a Belanger, like I would my other two kids. There's no more worrying about CJ, and that was super hard. And that's when you said, you're not a DJ, you're a CJ. And I say it all the time, but it's the coolest epiphany because like. So we talk about this all the time.
Tackle football, and it was later in life was the whole reason we got on this.
And the goosebumps.
He's definitely. I mean, he was late to the party. Everybody else was so much more, and he actually has so much like natural sports talent.
Well, you locked it down. She started having him go. You know what else he did? The other kids were in sports, and he was home, and he was home too much, sitting there watching TV. They lay down their electronic use, so it's not like he was even at home on the electronic, but he wasn't feeling good about himself.
No, he's just sitting there watching TV.
Yeah, and the kids are running to this sport, to that sport. So then she decided, you're going to get busy, because busy isn't, there's a fine line. But he would go to the gym with Ben because that built confidence. When you struggle, it's confidence.
And then he was going to Copper Hills on Sunday night, because CCB was Saturday night youth group. We were like, you need to be socializing and with people and out in the world living. Not
even if you don't want to do something, doing it builds confidence.
Yeah.
after
And
everything you don't want to do.
To be developed.
Yes.
Whether you're naturally better than others or not, you know.
And he did great. He became the defensive captain. His grades, he went to the public school, no drama. He didn't get in trouble. He had made good friends. He became defensive captain.
Oh, yeah.
His first year in tackle football at what, 12?
Yeah.
11? I mean, his whole life changed when he wasn't a DJ anymore. He was a CJ.
Yeah.
But that epiphany of it.
But he's still, like right now, he's at the Liberty feeder. He'll go to Liberty next year, but it's a really competitive program and there's a lot of good kids. And just being honest, he's on the lower end of that because he hasn't
There's an A team and a B team.
Yeah, and he hasn't
And there's politics involved.
Yeah, but I mean, just... He hasn't had the exposure. A lot of these kids have been playing since they were 4 years old, and crazy. He hasn't. And so, you know, he is a little behind. So my husband was like, yeah, maybe we should send him to Sunrise where he's going to get more playing time. But I just was struggling with that because I'm like, okay, well, like work your butt off. Outwork everybody. Yep. If you're outworking everybody, you're going to get there. But nobody wants to work that hard. They just want it handed. Or it can be defeating, but if it takes you 2 years, I don't care. Work your butt off.
Oh, my biggest setbacks were my biggest, like, wins in later. When you don't give up and you keep pushing past your biggest step. Like, having a mullet was the best thing to ever happen to me.
Yeah.
I mean it. I had my mom...
Wearing that bright blue shirt was
I'm pissed about the blue shirt. You made fun of me, but no. My mom, I was... a bigger kid. Remember I did the thing where I wished my stomach was bigger? It happened. And, but being honest, since we're having like a real talk, I wasn't super busy as a kid. I did dance in my elementary school years. I did dance once and I did gymnastics 2 nights a week. My brother was 6 years older, so they were really involved with my brother and I was home a lot. My parents were realtors, so they worked nights. So I would sit and watch TV and eat. And that's when that was my coping, which I've learned like through counseling, was when I was alone and I felt lonely, I would eat. And then the stomach grew and things changed. So I was like a bigger kid. And then, and I didn't do a lot of sports and I was sitting. I don't think we realize how much that sitting matters, with your kids. So I sat a lot, I didn't move around a lot, and then I ate. My parents always had like diet food in the house, so it wasn't like I got to eat anything good. But sometimes I think with diet food, you're eating so much to get satisfied that you're like, I kept waiting to feel like something. So I'd eat like a whole, she had all those protein bars that were weird. So I'd have like 10 trying to have one brownie. If you would have let me have the brownie, I would have had less calories. And everything was very forbidden. So I'd go to people's houses and I'd be like, can I go in your pantry for a few minutes? And they'd like find me in the pantry.
Kids have
wrappers,
friends that do that and it's sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
I know when they come over, they're like eating 5 bags of chips and I'm like, oh, it's sad.
It is sad. I let my kids have everything because I saw Bonnie, my mother-in-law, Kyle, I remember we went on our first trip, they all had Reese's. Bonnie ate a Reese's. I was like, your mom eats Reese's? That's so cool. Because my mom only ate like lettuce. And she always looked really good, like during that time. But she always looks good. But it was just like we didn't have that stuff around. And when I got to it, I didn't learn. First of all, they told me to finish my plate when I was little because I was too little, remember? Too little got too big. Did you guys ever go to the Big Apple and they had like fake guns?
Yeah.
So we'd go to the Big Apple and I remember the day my dad said to me, my mom said, now if you finish your plate, they're going to come. I think she said they're going to come shoot you. I swear. Now, we're not licensed professionals, and if this stuff is happening to you, call someone. But I swear, she said the guy's gonna come shoot you. And I thought to myself, well, she told me to finish my plate. Now I'm not allowed to finish my plate. I don't understand.
Wait, she said if you don't finish it?
If you finish your plate, that was it. If you finish your plate, that guy's gonna shoot you. And I thought, why is he gonna shoot me? I'm hungry.
Oh my gosh.
But I remember being so confused. She always told me to finish my plate. Now I'm not supposed to. I think I went from too little to too big. And instead,
finish the plate's stupid anyways.
That's what I mean. I told my kids, and I got in trouble.
Plate. I'm like, oh my God.
Why finish your plate? And Regina says there's starving kids in Africa. I go, whatever you don't finish, they're not shipping it to that kid. It's like it's
well, and like you're eating like pretty much all the food in America is poison anyways. So you're like, finish your mac and cheese. Like you're not helping your kid.
Oh, Kyle does that, and I'm all eat 2 strawberries and be done.
Exactly.
Yeah, but like it's like I was never taught to listen to that cue of full. And like, if we had some treats in the cabinet, I didn't have to eat the whole box knowing I could have a treat in an hour or I could have one now. But when I got around a treat, I want to eat the whole treat, the whole cake.
Yeah.
Because I never was going to have one again. And I still struggle with that. I'm like, we're eating desserts tonight? Oh, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Instead of like have a little all the time. It's like a whole thing. My point was, what was it? Oh, my mullet. Okay. So I was a bigger kid now, and now I dress like a boy because I would wear my brother was 6 years older than me, and I was wearing his clothes. So that tells you about the size I was. So I was getting bigger, and the kids would say to me, like, you're like butter, the most fatteningest thing in the world. They said that to me.
That's horrible.
Jerk. I know his name. I'm not going to say it on the podcast to our one listener, but they would say those things. So you know what I had to do? I had to get funny because I still wanted friends. So I had to learn to get funny to get the kids to like me because I was bigger and it was just an easy go-to. Like, what are you going to do? Sit on me? And I was like, maybe. Like, if you keep talking, and it's going to hurt, you know? So I was a bigger kid wearing the boy clothes, and I have naturally curly hair. So I would just brush it. You know, if you have curly hair and you just brush it, it gets bigger.
Yeah.
So I put my brother's shirt on, his shorts, like basketball shorts, and then I'd brush my hair. And my mom is a looker, so it drove her nuts that I would go to school looking like that. She had her way. I would still have the round bangs, the half up, and her stupid outfit with doilies on it. But as I got older and I got bigger, I didn't want to wear that stuff. So my mom said, you know what, we're going to take you to this salon in Scottsdale with this famous guy. He was on the news. And we're going to get your hair cut. So I sit in the chair and the guy says, now, do you want the layered bob or the African do? The African do, we put the spikes on the top and then it gets longer as we go down, which nowadays is a mullet and it's back in, but it wasn't in back then. It wasn't in. It was not in. And so if you're about to be in seventh grade, and the guy says African do or layered bob, it's easy. Layered bob all day. Layered bob. Layered bob. My mom said the African do. I was going to kill her. So the guy, the Francisco or whatever, is cutting my hair in this nice Scottsdale salon. I am saying, and I'm a good Christian girl, F you loud in this salon. F you, Mom. You're ruining my life. He's cutting my hair. I'm pulling my head out of his hands so that he doesn't give me spikes on the top. And he's like, oh, Mom. You know, oh, your daughter. And I'm like, I don't want to look like you. Because my mom had like red spiky hair. But
remember when the spikes were in? Yes. Yeah.
No, I don't think they were in.
Well, remember Jen Sharp had spikes?
No, this is way earlier.
Oh, spikes weren't in?
It's spikes on top.
No, your mom, though.
No, my mom had like
spikes weren't in?
Her red hair. My mom's has a look.
Yeah.
It works with her. She's very edgy.
Yeah.
And she like does it right. I'm in 7th grade. I'm not doing it right with my brother's clothing on and spikes on the top like a boy and then along. It's a mullet. So we get out of the car. I'm jumping out of the car on the freeway. I can't believe you ruined my life. So then I get to school. I had a boyfriend at the time. He saw me the first day of school. My brother's clothes, the stomach, and then the spiky hair. He broke up with me. I mean, it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
So then they called me a boy. They called me Chris instead of Crystal. Chris. And I said, why are you calling me Chris? Because you look like a boy. So I'm crying every day. My mom says, well, let's give you a perm. That will look like a girl.
You have curly hair. Why are we getting a perm?
Well, because the spikes didn't curl up. So we go get a perm. So now it's a big fro. So then the kids would say to me, rough and stuff with your Afro puff.
Yeah.
Go on with your bad self. Every day they'd sing that song to me and I would write in my journal, roses are red, violets are black. I hope no one makes fun of me tomorrow. I mean, it was dark times.
Yeah.
But what I learned in that is I learned to, not pick on people. You'll never see me, unless I'm like talking to my friend about famous people. That's about it. But I won't make fun of people. And I learned how to get really funny. And I learned how, that year was like a big development for me. We can go into other things. But that mullet taught me like the biggest things. Like, so I started wearing my hair half up every day. Then my mom was like, you're going to join a sport, because it was junior high. So you can choose volleyball or cross country. The volleyball players and we weren't identifying together. Like, I'm not going to be a volleyball player. I was under 5 foot because I'm only 5 foot now, and I was like 140 pounds, and I couldn't jump. So volleyball wasn't a thing. They would have laughed at me if I tried to be on the volleyball team. So I said cross country. So I'd hide in the bathroom every day because the big girls, we had like a crew, and we're like, it's hot. We're going to hide in the bathroom. We're not going to run. So then at the meet, all of a sudden, it's really hot. We couldn't hide. So we're like dying. We're sweating. So the meet would be like over, and they'd be like rolling up the banner, and then they'd be like, ma'am. And she's like, no, my daughter's still out there. We're just waiting for her. to come in. And then me and my bigger friends, they'd be like, 2 of them. Everybody else went home. You know, my mom. And then she'd be like, good job. And I was like, do I get a treat? You know? So that was like the thing. So I got a treat. So this story kind of pivoted, but one day they said to us, if you don't run, I had a really good coach. He was like a champion coach. There's difference. When you have a champion coach and you have a regular coach, they're 2 different. And he was like, if you don't run the whole 1.5 miles by next Friday, you're kicked off the team. And it was a no-cut sport. So I'm like, oh crap. And he's like, because that means you're not trying and you're not conditioning. And instead of going and finding us in the bathroom, which he knew we were in the bathroom,
right,
he made this thing. So I'm like, oh crap. So we still hid in the bathroom, and then it's the day of the Friday. It's the day of cuts. And I'm like, I can't get kicked off the team. My parents are strict. They'll know I was hiding in the bathroom and I'll be dead. So I said, okay, here goes nothing, like the back handspring story.
Yeah.
I'm going to run. The assistant coach, who is like famous in our district nowadays, she ran next to me the whole time. I'll never forget it. And she taught me, it wasn't always that I didn't know. I didn't know how, and I never had done anything hard and succeeded at it. So I just didn't know how to run. I didn't know how to breathe. I didn't know how to train. You know, when you run as a kid, you sprint and walk, sprint and walk. And when you're in the back, people are so far ahead of you, you're like, what's the use? I'm just gonna walk. So she taught me how to breathe in and relax my heart rate and run. And every time I tried to walk, she said, nope, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. And we ran the whole 1.5 miles. And that was the first time I ever felt success, like a taste of it. I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
So then the other girls got kicked off the team. They didn't run. So then I started running every day, and I lost 20 pounds in like 2 weeks from running. And my hair was growing out. I had big boobs because I was a big kid, but the boobs kind of stayed and everything else went away. So then everyone was like, who's the new girl? And I was like, yeah, you jerks. You're the kid that asked me to sit on you. So the moral of the story is it changed my life. That whole year changed my life, and the mullet changed my life. And rough and stuff with your Afro puff. I'm not the most sensitive to bullying. I think it's like a rite of passage. I am sensitive about how far things go these days.
Yeah, it's a different level.
It is a different level.
I do think it is a part of.
Yeah, it is a part. But nowadays, like at home, we're not having enough talks about like what that. It is an all-time high. I do think it's a rite of passage. There's like that in between. But moving on, I had a mullet. It was hard, but the mullet made me who I am. The mullet and about 500 other stories like that, but that's how I got funny.
I love that coach. Like, I wonder if that coach even knows or remembers.
Oh, I know. She was like assistant superintendent, like for years. Her name, I'll never forget it. And I ended up finishing 9th on that year. And then I went and did track, and that's another story. I started hiding in the bathroom again. I got skinny. I thought I got this in the bag. And my coach put me in the 400. The 400 is 1 lap sprint. It's the hardest race there is. Again, same coach, champion coach. He knew I was hiding in the bathroom, and I'd splash water on my face, be like, oh, that was hard. So he put me in a 4x4 relay. So it wasn't that I would screw myself, because I would have been fine with that. I would have screwed my team. So the first race, do you remember Kevin Anderson?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll ever listen to the podcast. He was really cute and like really in, and by now I had...
Everyone liked him.
Yeah, everybody liked him. And I had the boobs, and I was skinny, and so I was like, it was track day, and we had like a big track team. We were a champion team. The 4x4 is a lot of points. So we were like leading that day, and everyone's like, you got it, the 4x4. And I was like a decent runner now. So I thought, I got this.
Yeah.
No problem, we're gonna win. So we're running, and you take off, and I didn't know to train, so I'm full sprint. I'm in the front. I'm like, this is my moment. Kevin's going to like me.
Yeah.
This is it. I'm going to win this thing.
Was he on your team or just there watching?
No, he's on the team, 100 of them.
Yeah.
So it was a huge track team, and they're cheering on the sidelines. I remember, Kevin, you got this.
Yeah.
And I'm running. And you have spikes, you know, on your shoes because that keeps you going.
Yeah.
So at 200, I'm in the win. I'm like, this is my moment. Everyone's going to look at me. My boobs are shaking. You know, I've got big boobs. All of a sudden, you hit what's called a wall. When you push your body too hard, too fast, you hit a wall, you can't move. So I'm winning. Then all of a sudden, I'm like I can't move, like slow motion. Everything around me, I'm about to pass out. And Kevin's like, what's wrong? And my coach is like, go! And then everybody's passing me. Everybody's passing me. And I'm going, what the? Like, it's like, you're moving like, and my spikes are the only thing keeping me moving because they're like taking steps. So the race ends. I'm still trying to get to the end like a special person. And so I get to the end. I start throwing up. We lose the 4x4. I'm mortified. Kevin walks away. This idiot, you know, finished last. My coach, we go check the next Monday what we're going to run that week. Guess what I'm running?
She put you back on it?
4x4. The guy. Put me in the 4x4.
I would say guy.
Yeah, guy. And 4x4 every week. Guess what? We won the state championship. I started training. We ran. I never did that again. But what was so interesting is he didn't do it with words. He did it with action.
Right.
He didn't pull me aside and say, I know you're hiding in the bathroom. That's ridiculous. You're an idiot. Da, da, da. He taught me through experience rather than through letting reality of the circumstance be the teacher. And I'm so grateful to him. We won. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. But, you know, then I wasn't a loser much more after that. I learned that you can like work at things and be successful.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my childhood
Here
trauma.
we are today.
And now I let my kids have brownies.
Yeah.
And I'm still wishing for that invert. Now I'm going to start visioning that six pack, you know, instead of the invert. That's enough. This is a serious day today.
Yeah, it was.
It was a lot of deep talks.
It was.
I think the takeaway for me this week after what we're talking about, I want to lean into the instincts of parenting a little more and not guess myself as much. Because I think that I'm doing what you even said about CJ unintentionally. I'm so worried that I'm not like just leaning into my innate like instincts with them. They know I love them. I got to focus more on being the mom rather than if they like me, if they know I love them, if they're, you know, going to stick around forever.
Well, I think when kids get messed up from things that their parents have done, obviously we're all a little messed up from things that our parents have done. But I think when you get real messed up is when there isn't that undertone of love. Like if you know your parents are gonna make mistakes, if at the end of the day, if they know that you love them, then you're okay.
Yeah.
And we're all gonna make mistakes and mess them up a little. But if they know that, then you can't really make a true mistake.
Yeah.
Unless you like do something horrible. But you know what I mean?
I feel like there's a lot of mistakes and they know they love them.
That's what I mean. It's fine. And I just think...
I don't know if it's fine though.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Like some people, their kids are on drugs and they knew they loved them.
But that's their choice.
Yeah.
Like it's not the parents' fault.
Yeah.
Because they made a mistake. My mom made a lot of mistakes. I'm not on drugs. And if I was, it'd be my fault.
Right.
It's not her fault.
Right.
I think that's another thing. We're not responsible.
Well, see, there's where I do it too much. I always take too much ownership.
Right. And you should take ownership as a parent.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they are going to make choices. We can equip them the best we can. But I'm not responsible for what they do with...
The funniest thing is when you go on a soapbox, usually I put a mic in front of her mouth.
Isn't that funny?
And I was going to do that right now, but you already have one.
Yeah.
No wonder she likes it.
No, but
I agree. I think you're 100% right. I got to let it just go. And I forget sometimes, like...
And kids are resilient. Like, look at me, look at you. Like, and everybody.
Well, and those coaches made such an impact. Like, I've been trying to lean into more like trusting God and where God's going to lead them through experience rather than putting it all on me.
Right.
You know?
Well, and I think that's another benefit to having your kids in sports is there are those great coaches that believe in them and love them because it has a different impact. When your mom loves you and believes in you, you're like, oh, you're my mom, you have to.
But there's struggle. Struggle builds confidence too.
We have a really good coach. We have a lot of really good coaches at the cheer gym that's hard on the girls and
but love them.
Love them. And even Kennedy, like she said, Dallas told her that she goes, yeah, I wasn't going to say anything to you because I knew you'd figure it out.
I love that.
I know.
That'll stick with her.
And she's like, so Ken had her tuck in the routine and then she got like a mental block and was not throwing it, was whacked and coming home every day crying. She got taken out and her coach pulled me aside at the competition and said, she's got to get in tumbling. I said, oh, she's in tumbling. And she said, okay, she'll work it out. And all on her own, she did. And then Dallas never said anything to her.
I love that.
Again, she just took her out and let her figure it out. And then when she put her back in, she said, Ken came to her and said, can I go back in? She said, yeah. And then she said, I knew you'd figure it out. So I think having that belief, she wasn't like every day, you're a loser. Like I was all, you get that talk or you're done. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's your takeaway? Let's have one.
My take. Oh, God.
I love it. You did good last week, though.
I know. The takeaway is so like.
Oh, just have one. Well, you're wearing tighter clothing, so we had one.
I did have it. That was my big takeaway from last week. Is now I'm wearing clothes that fit my body.
I think even talking about CJ, I think you leaning into just trusting your gut too. I think that might have reminded you the decisions you made before. I think just always trusting that.
And I think the biggest takeaway is knowing that hardships are good for kids.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. This is a side note takeaway too. We talked about like being nicer to our husbands last week and like dating him more. I listened to Dr. Laura's podcast. I wanted to say this to our one listener, Dana, that she talked about how our kids, this podcast is so good. It's called Deep Dive by Dr. Laura Schlesinger. It's so good. It talked about society and some changes, but it talked about how our kids mirror how we talk to our husbands and how we love our husbands. Sometimes I kind of put Kyle in the category like he's sometimes one of the kids, sometimes he's one of my equals, sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
So, and like we're tired, so I'm like, Kyle, put the like I'm not trying to be rude, but I maybe don't have the best tone. And
my tone's horrible.
But you know what? I'm getting mad at my kids. I'm like, you guys are so rude to each other. And when she said that, I go, oh, maybe they're picking up on that because of the way we kind of talk to each other. And it's not like we don't love each other. We're just busy. So I really been working on that this week. And like, I noticed like a different feeling at home. And like, I don't know. I'm going to keep trying to work on that.
Yeah.
My tone with him changes the whole mood of the house.
Absolutely.
Again, though, we don't realize as women how much power we have.
I know.
So not only did I just start talking to Kyle nicer, now our whole family, like, then
Maybe
he's
that's
talking
what
to
I need
everyone
to do is
nicer.
talk to
Yes.
them nicer.
And
then
Kyle
it'll-
snapped at me last night about, this is the dumbest thing. I want anyone's opinion on this, but Kyle likes to go poop in the guest bathroom. And it's like, no, it's the guest bathroom. Go poop in the master
But you
bathroom.
don't have any guests coming today.
I have some Saturday.
In 4 days?
I know, but his poop isn't the funnest thing to clean up. It's like a shatter fest.
We'll have him clean his own poop.
He's not gonna clean his poop. I clean everything.
So he's only allowed to go in your bathroom.
Yes, because I don't mind a quick clean, but it's like a whole thing. So anyways, so he yelled at me, this is my house too, and I can poop in whatever toilet.
I'm so Kyle. I'm on his side.
I know,
Yeah.
and I called him, I said, I don't like the way you talk to me, and he's like, you're right, I did, like, it was
that
the
was
dumbest
nice.
thing.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, I'm trying to really work on the way you talk to me, can you? He's like, oh yeah, you're right. He didn't mean to,
Yeah.
he was just like, and so I just think it's important, like, I don't know, it's something so simple, but it can affect the trajectory of your family.
Have you felt convicted about the way you talk to your best friend at all?
No, but I have. You said I gotta stop calling people idiots.
She would always go, what are you, an idiot?
Yeah, I have been doing
It
better.
doesn't make you feel great.
I know, I have done
You
better.
do have, yeah.
Haven't I?
I think it's a little better, yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna talk to my best friend better. Now people are really gonna think I'm abused.
No, it's great. It's fine.
Okay, what about you? You're gonna maybe tell your best friend how their truth instead of lies?
No, I will.
Thank you.
And I don't tell lies. I just don't want to, like, what's the point in saying something if it's not kind?
Gonna benefit you?
No, if it's not kind.
Because
Why would I walk up and be like, oh, bright shirt today? Like, that's so weird. You know what I mean?
yeah, but it helps. Like, I didn't let you go around looking like a hobo. And you're better because of it.
I feel like I take
Criticism better than I do?
like, I'm less sensitive about it. Where I feel like if I told you, hey, whoa, bright shirt today, you'd be like, what, you don't like my shirt? And you would be more offended. Whereas, like, I would be more
Might
like,
be true.
Don't you think?
Yeah, but if I ask.
If you ask.
That's the trick.
Okay, that's the trick. If
If I
someone
ask,
asks,
tell the
I'm
truth.
telling the truth. If you want to hear what I think about your life, ask me. Otherwise, I'm not telling you.
Well, you don't really tell. But
No.
if I ask you your opinion on things, you give them to me.
Totally.
So why not about my bright shirt?
I do like the shirt for the game.
Okay, that's it, Dana.
The end.